What is LSU doing with this Brian Kelly? We didn't fire him. He quit, so now we're firing him for cause, and we don't owe him any money. Crap that's going on. What is Lane Kiffin doing? Is he staying at Ole Miss? Is he leaving? If he's leaving, where is he going? If he's staying at Ole Miss, why won't he sign an extension? Why won't he make that announcement? Who's going to Arkansas? Why does Mike Norvell still have a job? Who's going to Auburn? I haven't talked about the coaching situations in a couple of weeks, so we're going to do that now. I'm going to give you my latest thoughts on some of this stuff going on with job openings and coaches across the country. Shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Mint Mobile. How much are you spending on your cell phone bill every month, your wireless service? $100 a month? $150? $200 a month? Mint Mobile is completely changing the game when it comes to traditional wireless service. No more nonsense. No more monthly bills. No more overpaying for a bunch of ridiculous features you don't need. No BS. Just premium service starting at $15 a month. Mint Mobile has reimagined the wireless shopping experience. They've made it super easy, super simple. It's completely online. No more stores, no more salespeople. That means lower costs for you. All of their plans are going to include unlimited talk and unlimited text on the nation's largest 5G network. Plus, you get free calling to Mexico, Canada, and the UK. On top of that, hotspot is included. 10 gigabytes a month on unlimited plans. You're going to get coverage on the nation's largest 5G network, covering 98% of all Americans. And when it comes to their 4G LTE, it covers 99%. You can bring your own unlocked phone over to Mint Mobile or shop with them for the latest and greatest. No matter which route you decide to take, you're going to be able to keep your existing phone number. That's right, you can get signed up and activated within minutes from the comfort of your own home. And the best part is all of the Mint Mobile plans come with a 7-day unconditional money-back guarantee. That's right. Test drive it first. Make this holiday season the happiest yet. Switch yourself over to Mint Mobile today. For a limited time this holiday season, you can get 50% off their unlimited premium wireless plans over at Mint Mobile. Lock in Mint's lowest price of the year and pay just $15 a month for their 3, 6, or 12-month plan. So, don't be a Grinch. And more importantly, don't be a 5-star dummy. Check out mintmobile.com today. Start with the LSU thing. Does LSU expect anybody to buy this? This seems like a bad movie plot. We all know Brian Kelly got fired. Like, he got his ass beat at home at night by Texas A&M. And you fired him the next day. Like, we saw the video of Brian Kelly pulling up and walking into his office, and LSU and the governor got involved and all of that. And all of a sudden, you fast forward 2 weeks, and LSU expects, never mind us, I guess a judge somewhere, to actually believe that, no, we actually didn't fire Brian Kelly. He just, quit showing up for work? No coach has ever done that. Pay the man his money. I think these contracts are ridiculous. They're guaranteed, no matter how bad you are. You can go 0-12 2 years in a row into a 10-year contract. And if we fire you, we'll give you $60 million to walk away. I think it's ridiculous. But whose fault is it? The school's fault? Yes. The schools are the ones handing out these contracts. I don't know who in the world is buying this outside of a handful of LSU fans that I've seen online. This is insane. I guess they're claiming, what are they claiming? That he was a no-call, no-show? Like some shift worker at Dairy Queen? He just decided he wasn't coming in for a while? Come on, man. You fired Brian. I don't like Brian Kelly. Nobody likes Brian Kelly. I'm not defending Brian Kelly. He deserved to be fired, but he was fired. And this whole for cause, without cause, I ain't losing a bunch of games as a cause. But the way the contracts are worded, Brian Kelly's owed that money. Just pay him the money. And if you didn't fire him, why was he offered $25 million 2 weeks ago? And then when he turned down the $25 million, you offered him $30 million. He turned that down. I don't blame him. His contract says he's owed $54 million if he's fired. He was fired. Give him his $54 million. But so you offer him $25 million. You're telling me he quit showing up for work out of the blue and you offered him $25 million because of that? Then you offered him $30 million because he quit showing up? No, you fired him. You owe him $54 million. You don't want to have to pay it. So you're negotiating. There's nothing to negotiate as far as Brian Kelly's concerned. What judge is going to get the privilege of laughing this out of court? Look, the LSU situation is turning into a circus. It was ridiculous from the get-go with the governor being involved. Politics ruin everything they touch. Why anybody, the governor of Louisiana included, thought it would be a good idea for him to inject himself into the middle of an LSU coaching situation, whether it was the firing of Brian Kelly or now the hiring of the next coach. Why anybody thinks that's a good idea or that might work out well, that's beyond me. Everything politics touches, it completely ruins. What if you're whatever, Lane Kiffin? There's a Nick Saban rumor out there about LSU. Any high-profile coach who has options, okay? So I'm not talking about some low-level group of five guy who would give his left arm to coach at LSU just because it's a Power 4 job. I mean the upper echelon list of coaches, which, if you believe LSU, that's who they're targeting, right? Who of those people is dumb enough to take this job right now? Who? First of all, you're going to have to deal with a political mess. The school president is not liked by the governor. The board of trustees or whatever it's called is not liked by the president. And so they go around him, and basically the governor fired Brian Kelly, but now really nobody fired Brian Kelly, apparently. Just quit showing up. So if you take the job, you have to get involved in the middle of that political mess that's going on involving the school president, the athletic director, the governor, all that crap. You have to get involved in the middle of that. And if you don't win enough games and they fire you, they're going to try to not honor their end of the contract by weaseling out of the buyout. I don't know. I don't know. Money will make people do crazy things. So maybe there's a high profile coach out there who's going, you know what? I don't care that the LSU coaching search is a political circus. I don't care that they tried to back out of their contract with their last head coach. I'll still take the job there. Maybe there's some high profile people out there that would do that are so money hungry they jump at Lane Kiffin or whoever else. But I have a feeling this is going to end up hurting LSU when it comes to this current coaching search. I would be shocked at this point if Lane Kiffin went there. I'm going to be shocked if anybody with options now takes the LSU job. It seems like a complete and total circus and mess on how this entire thing was handled, from the governor being involved to the firing to now LSU not wanting to pay Brian Kelly his buyout and claiming they never fired Brian Kelly. He just quit showing up. Does anybody believe, I'm serious, does anybody believe that? So what? Like, explain it to me. Like, you lose to Texas A&M. Okay. Monday practice, like, Brian Kelly's not there. Like seriously, the players are sitting around going, man, where's Coach Kelly? And they're looking over at the coordinators and the assistants, and they're going, I don't know. I mean, should we call him? Maybe did he oversleep? Did he get in a car accident? Like, what's going on? I don't know. Let's just go ahead and hold practice without him. Then Tuesday comes around, Tuesday practice, same thing. Just no one's heard from Coach Kelly. He wasn't here yesterday. He's not here today. Meanwhile, keep in mind, the entire time this is going on, there are statements being put out by the Louisiana governor, by people at administratively at LSU, saying, yeah, Brian Kelly was fired. I don't know what's going on. It's a complete mess. Let's talk about Lane Kiffin. I'm 50-50 on the Lane Kiffin thing. I'm leaning more towards him leaving, though, because I don't understand why he doesn't, A, sign an extension at Ole Miss, or number B, or letter 2. If he is staying at Ole Miss, it would make all the sense in the world to announce that you are the head coach of a one-loss team heading into the middle of November who is going to be a massive favorite in the rest of your regular season games. In other words, Ole Miss is going to the playoffs. It would take a breakdown of spectacular fashion for something to happen to Ole Miss over the next couple of weeks that leads to them not making the 12-team playoff. So if you're Lane Kiffin and you're a football coach, what's your primary goal is probably national titles, postseason. So you're at a school now that's getting ready to do that. That's getting ready to play in the college football postseason, the 12-team playoff. You really want to leave that to go to Florida, a team that's never been to a playoff, to go to LSU, which we just talked about the mess there? I would think no. But why hasn't he signed an extension? Why hasn't he made an announcement committing to Ole Miss? Coaches hate distractions more than almost anything else. Anything that takes the players or the team or the staff's focus and attention away from the task at hand, which is today's practice, this week's game, next week's opponent, whatever it is, right? They just absolutely hate distractions. And one of the hardest jobs a coach has is to keep all of those people underneath him, coaches, players, staff, focused and in the right direction, because there's just a lot of distractions out there. This is a massive distraction. So if he knows he's staying at Ole Miss, it would make all the sense in the world, personally and professionally, and in terms of Ole Miss's ability to perform and succeed in the playoffs, for him to just come out and say, listen, I appreciate the sort of interest from these other schools out here and things like that, but I'm the head coach at Ole Miss. We're headed to the playoffs. I'm not leaving Ole Miss. I'm going to be at Ole Miss today. I'm going to be at Ole Miss when the playoffs start. I'm going to be at Ole Miss in the offseason. I'm going to be at Ole Miss next year. Wouldn't it make sense to come out and say that if that is what you were planning on doing? Now, I could see if Ole Miss was a 3 or a 4 loss team that wasn't heading to the playoffs. And so maybe he's trying to string this thing along, extract more money out of whatever school it is that is courting him, right? But he's headed to the playoffs. So it makes me think that he is leaving. And if you made me bet $1 today on what team Lane Kiffin will be coaching week 1 of next season, it's the Florida Gators. I don't want that as a Georgia guy. I think Lane Kiffin at Florida would be a home run hire for Florida. So I don't want that. But if he's not planning on leaving Ole Miss, it would be too easy to just come out and say, listen, I'm tired of being asked about this all the time. There's articles everywhere. My players are asking me about it. Recruits are asking me about it, because you know all that is going on. I'm staying at Ole Miss, but he hasn't done that. So it makes me think he's leaving. Who's getting the Auburn job? I think it's going to be Sumrall from Tulane. I think Sumrall from Tulane will end up at Auburn. I think Sumrall's a pretty good coach. He's sort of next in line there in those group of 5 coaches that have been sort of scooped up over the last few years. Now, Alex Golesh at South Florida, I think, is going to get a Power 4 opportunity soon. The guy at Memphis, Silverfield, I think will get an SEC opportunity. So, in fact, let's talk about him. I think he's going to Arkansas. I think Arkansas is either going to promote Petrino to permanent head coach, but I think that's less likely. I think they're going to get Silverfield from Memphis. I think Silverfield from Memphis lands at Arkansas. Now, all of this could be upended if some unexpected thing happens. For example, let's take Clark Lee at Vanderbilt. If somebody poaches Clark Lee from Vandy, say Auburn gets Clark Lee, I'm wrong about the Sumrall at Tulane. And so now all of a sudden Vandy's got an opening. Well, maybe Silverfield at Memphis takes the Vandy job instead of the Arkansas job. But just looking at the jobs that are open now, primarily the LSU job, I've got no idea what's going to happen with LSU because of the big mess that they've created for themselves. So I've got no idea. I don't think Saban's coming out of retirement for anybody. So I don't think that's happening, not because LSU is a mess. I just don't think Saban's doing that. If Kiffin is sort of down in his mind to choosing between Florida and LSU, I think what's going on at LSU is going to push him Florida's direction. So Kiffin to Florida would be my guess right now. Sumrall to Auburn, Silverfield to Arkansas. And as far as what Ole Miss does, they're going to be devastated. They're going to be devastated when they lose Lane Kiffin. And I don't know if, he's done good there, but I don't know if he has done good there long enough for Ole Miss to be considered like a tier 1 job to where Ole Miss could then go out and poach some other high-level head coach. Seems to me like Ole Miss is going to have to make a hire just like they did with Lane Kiffin. It's going to have to be sort of the middle tier guy. And I don't mean that as an insult to Lane Kiffin. I think Lane Kiffin now is a top tier coach. But when he got that job at Ole Miss, like not a lot of people were beating down his door, offering him jobs. Remember, he had bounced around from Tennessee to Southern Cal to the NFL, was a group of 5 coach, worked under Saban. Like he wasn't getting, people weren't banging his door down. He was considered kind of immature, and people weren't too sure if he was going to pan out as a head coach, to be honest. Now he's sort of rehabilitated his image and things at Ole Miss, and now I do think he's a tier 1 guy. But so I don't know what would happen as far as the domino pieces if Ole Miss leaves Lane. You know, if Lane Kiffin leaves Ole Miss, then who gets that job? Clark Lee at Vandy is a name that could be somewhere else next year. Drinkwitz at Missouri is a name you're hearing a lot. I think if Lane Kiffin stays at Ole Miss, then I think clearly that opens up a lot of other possibilities. Clark Lee at Vandy could leave to take LSU or Florida. Drinkwitz at Missouri could leave to take LSU or Florida. James Franklin is still without a job, and I think James Franklin's one of the best 10 or 15 coaches in the country. So he's going to have a job somewhere. Virginia Tech was the rumor early on. What's going to happen with Oklahoma State? They've got the longest opening. That seems like 2 years ago they fired Gundy, doesn't it? So much has happened since then, and between then and now. But yeah, so they got the opening too there. Norvell's likely to get fired at the end of the year, so somebody's going to have to take that job. And it's easy to talk about maybe coordinators here and there, a group of 5 coaches, but if other Power 4 coaches start leaving their current jobs to take other Power 4 jobs, and that's where the domino effect, comes in. And you can't predict that. You only can sort of talk about and predict about the openings that exist today. The only opening I think you could probably waste any time trying to predict in terms of who the next coach would be for a job that still has their current coach would be Mike Norvell at Florida State. I'm going to be absolutely floored if they don't fire Mike Norvell. I'm starting to openly question whether Florida State even cares about their own football program anymore. If they don't fire Mike Norvell, that answers that question. They don't care. He's had 4 losing seasons in 6 years. The guy's got to go. So we'll see what happens there with him. But anyway, that's my long, drawn-out, rambling thoughts on some of the stuff going on with LSU and Brian Kelly and the lawsuit and not wanting to pay the buyout. And I think it's ridiculous. I think LSU looks very clownish in this whole thing. And Lane Kiffin in Florida and all that. So anyway, appreciate you watching. Have a good morning.